This is an excerpt from my book, The Vampire Henry, Book 2. In this section, um, the vampire Ambrose Bierce follows the book's nemesis, the vampire Serling, back to Mexico, where he finds an ancient city. And I managed to once again follow him back to Mexico. It was surprisingly easy to do this time around. Every door, every tree seemed to be permeated with this piss smell, seemingly. It was like he absolutely wanted me on his heels this time. And that is when I found the city, the underground city. Cité de Vampires. It was in the dead center of the Chihuahua Desert. I followed Serling's stink there one dark night in late November. Maybe a month or so after our tete-a-tete in a room in the Hotel Whitcomb. There were many bats flying in the purple sky that night. Clouds and clouds of big, free-tailed bats, like skittish scars in that desert dome. I wondered, as I smelled him again on the cold night air, if Serling was there amongst them. A bat himself. If he could turn into William Randolph Hearst, why not Nyctompus Procratus? But no, he suddenly materialized once more in that expansive desert, as if he were a mirage. He was all dressed in black this time, a black Homburg and suit. He looked like some sad comic mime there in the night, like some Beckett unfortunate. His face as pale as bleached bone. His eyes, black holes leading to nothing. Not William Randolph Hearst, no. And thankfully, not my Molly. But I knew it was still my maker and my nemesis, Serling. Standing there, stock still, in front of one lone yucca tree, the bats swirling above him like kettles of vultures waiting for carrion. And suddenly, he pointed with one long, gnarled finger at the desert sand swirling around his feet, as if he'd found water there with some divining rod or something. As if he wanted me to see something there. His eyes locked with mine then, and I swear for an instant there seemed to be like tears of sorrow briefly in those twin singularities of hate. He nodded at me, slowly. And then he disappeared. There was no puff of smoke. He didn't become a bat or anything like that. Fly up and away to join that cauldron of flying monkeys still circling above me. No. He just was gone again. And I went to the place where he had been standing. And there in the furrowed rows of tan sand was a door. A ponderous trap door made of stone, almost completely buried by that desert sand. I instantly thought of those lines from Shelley, as countless bats continued to collide against each other in that starless sky. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look at my works, ye mighty in despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. An iron ring was fixed to the center of that massive door. It was apparent that Serling had led me here, that he'd wanted me to find this artifact. But why? What did it portend? Would this ultimately prove to be my undoing? His dead hands around my throat yet again. There was only one way to find out. Feverishly, I scraped as much sand as I could away from that door, and pulled up with all my vampire strength on that ring. It took my all to pull that door open, and as more sand fell away from it, I could see weathered markings across the surface of the thing, slashes and triangles and furrows, much like arrow feathers. Those markings reminded me hugely of some clay Babylonian tablet I had glimpsed once in the British Museum, 1,000 centuries before, in my weary human incarnation. And as I endeavored to lift the thing, I wondered what all those frenetic scratchings might portend. Were they addressed to me? Were they welcoming? Or perhaps warning? Knowing the nature of the elusive Serling, my dark mind leaned more towards the latter. My name is Serling, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty in despair. Finally, and with a grunt on my part, I was able to upend that stone, which had to have been at least 8 inches thick or so. My body was immediately hit by a torrent of human air, like something from an underground blast furnace. An ordinary human being probably would have swooned under the onslaught of that shock of air.